Cosmic here, welcome to the channel, and today I wanted to do a quick video to hopefully welcome our new players to Union Arena with the Jujutsu Kaisen 5-pack battle or release events, because this is a super fun way to dive into Union Arena, but I'm going to be honest, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So if you've been playing Union Arena for a while now, this video won't be for you, but maybe you can share it for new people who are joining. And I probably won't do this for every single set that we get, but I know that JJK is going to be such a big one. I figured it'd be a great time to do it. So if you are looking forward to joining us with the release event, or maybe just want to pick up some JJK cards, but kind of don't know where to start, this video is for you. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, I do want to mention that the tutorial app is updated on the Google Play or iOS store. There is also one on the website that you can use, but it's not updated yet with JJK. So the best way to learn to play is absolutely downloading the tutorial app and going through it, and also checking out the starter deck that they have uploaded. So yes, the list that you get to use in the tutorial app will be the same starter deck that we get at launch in just a couple weeks. So it is one that you can get familiar with and really just start to play and dive into the game with. Now, that said, what we're really here to talk about is the 5-pack battle. And again, yes, this can be extremely overwhelming, especially if you're new to card games in general, or maybe you have never done the format called limited, which is you get a limited number of cards to build a deck with. But the 5-pack battle is exactly what it sounds like. You get 5 packs, you open it up, build a deck. And the most important thing to note here is that the rules do change a little bit from the full version of the game, or what you say like constructed, and also just the flow of the game does feel a little bit different. So that's really what I wanted to cover in today's video. So first and foremost, in a 5-pack battle, any color can generate any energy you need. So ultimately, if you have, a blue, a purple, a blue, and a double green, as it shows there in the image, you're producing 5 energy, and that just counts flat out 5 energy. In the normal game, you would have to have the same colored energy. For if it is a 4 blue card, you need 4 blue energy. So that is something to keep in mind, that there are going to be slight variations, but again, everyone that's going to be at these release events should be pretty helpful to, make sure that you're not missing anything as you're playing and as you're sequencing. So 5 packs, right? That is a lot of cards. And yes, it is a unfortunate oops, everything goes in style of kind of deck building, because you have to build as close to as a 60 card deck as possible. But this also means that some people will open up the action points, the non-foil action points in their packs, meaning you might have 59 or 58 for the cards you have. Now, overall, something to note is that, yes, you will have a mix of quite literally just everything, right? It is just 5 random packs, but to help yourself kind of get into it, understand what the different values are, kind of what different key cards are, one thing I would definitely recommend doing is separating them by the energy requirement. Your 0, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, and 5 kind of going in the same pile, because it'll be more of like your top end, right? So zeros and ones in this game are really more about building out your energy line and kind of making sure you can play the cards, where 3, 4, and 5 are more about actually getting to, attack your opponent and have some decent BP thresholds. So let's just go through this and kind of talk about it at a high level. So yes, as I mentioned, zeros and ones are generally what we're going to be using to build your energy. We have Toge here, who is a double energy bouncer, as we like to call it, meaning you must return a 0 or 1 from your field back to your hand as you're playing it. The reason why you want to have some of these double energies is because you'll notice in some of the raid cards, they might have a 5 or even 6 energy requirement, which is not possible unless you have at least 1 double energy in your back line. Obviously, for 6, you'll need 2, etc., right? So stuff like Toge, where we get the early game double energy providers, can be really good. And it's also very important to note is that as you're playing these sealed battled games, you do want to be very effective at promoting from your energy line, right? So what does that mean? As you're playing the game, units come into play tapped, exhausted, rested, right? Depending on what card game background you come from. They will stand at the end of the turn. However, at the beginning of your turn, after the draw phase, you do have what's called a movement phase. So if Toge was in your back line, you played him the last turn, you can promote him up to your front line, and then he is now an attacker because he's already been in play for a turn. Think of it as summoning sickness, right? However, that does bring us to the other part of the 5-pack battle. We have Hanami, which is also a double energy producer, but it is a 3k BP body and also costs 3 energy. This can be great for accelerating your plays if your opponent has a yellow or blue card on their side of the field. And spoiler, this is the only place where these cards are good, because your opponent is always going to have like a rainbow board. So, if you're going second, right? Turn 1, you can go into Toge. Turn 2, you can go right into Hanami into a 4-drop, right? And start applying some pressure if you hit a 4-drop early. But otherwise, it is a 3K body, which is a very good number to attack with in this format because rating and 4K bodies in general are going to be a little bit more limited. So something to keep in mind is if you have a 5, 6, or 7 energy unit in your deck, that it means that you're going to require at least one. So, right, if I have a 5 energy unit, I want to have at least one double energy in my back line. If I have a 6, I'm going to need 2. So that's something to think about the deck. Definitely count how many double energy producers that you have. If you have a higher energy requirement from your top end that you really need, and you only have 4 double energy producers, then ideally probably never able to promote them. You always want to have your double energy in the back line. However, if you have a ton and your highest number is only 4 energy, then sure, this 3K double energy is a very good tacker in that regard. So this is where it does come down to, separating the piles of your cards that I mentioned earlier can be really important for understanding, okay, how high does my energy go? What raid targets am I looking for? All that sort of thing. So that is how to build up the energy line and what to look forward to. And kind of another key part that we're getting to is the various forms of key removal. Now, what's really interesting is that this does change every set. So in Bleach and in Hunter x Hunter, a lot of what we saw was you could only interact with 3K BP removal, which again is still very good in this format, unless you had a character that is specified on the card, and then you can remove a 4K or 5K, right? In JJK, a lot of the removal is actually just 5K, but it has some sort of stipulations with it, right? With Boogie Woogie, they get to replay something, so it might not be as good for what you're trying to do if you're trying to get through some damage. Divergent Fist, it lets you return to their hand or kill it if you have a Yuji. And then Hollow Purple, Gojo's one of signature abilities, right? You do just get to sideline it or put it in the removal area, but it costs 1 less if you have Gojo. So Hollow Purple definitely being, the best in that regard. Yes, the extra action point does cost quite a bit in this game. That's definitely something you're going to want to play through in the tutorial app. But these are the different things that you have to keep in mind of, how many did I open? And then start to pair them like, okay, how many Yujis did I get? Did I open up enough Yujis, or is this always going to be a bounce card? So as you're separating into those piles, also keep note of whatever characters that are appearing on your special cards so you know when to line them up, right? As the game is progressing, you might find yourself in a turn where, do I need to wait to draw that special? Is it good enough to just remove it and let them have the other effect? Or do I want to wait to see if I draw that unit to get the additional effect from it, right? That'll be something you just have to go through your card pool and understand what comparisons we have, how many UGs do we open, or again, if by some crazy stretch you open exactly 0 UGs, then rip off the Divergent Fist whenever you feel it's appropriate for when you're trying to close out the game. Because again, a bounce effect is just very, very strong. Now that does bring us to a key point about a MVP to look out for. So double blocker, especially in the Bleach and Hunter x Hunter format, as I had just mentioned, a lot of the removal was focused only on 3Ks, and this guy soloed games. I played in quite a few of the Hunter x Hunter and Bleach events, and there is just a very clean cutoff between 3K attackers and 4Ks being increasingly rare, as it were, because a lot of them are just rares or super rares, right? So hitting a double blocker, and yes, it does come with the color trigger as well, which is very nice, can really set the flow of battle in your favor, because this is automatically going to block 2 3K bodies from your opponent, which again, a lot of this format does boil down to value 3K attackers that you can get, or if there's something that can give itself a BP boost even temporarily so you can get over this double blocker, can be really important. So definitely something to look forward to as you're opening your packs, and definitely keep in mind that they also have to pay an extra resource to try to remove this. So it's a great way to get some tempo back. So I'm really hoping that I open a couple of these, because again, the double blocker in 3500 is just so important when everything is swinging for 30K, that especially if you get this early enough. Again, this also attacks, right? So you get to attack with a 3500. It's going to swing over most of their guys. So you're able to save yourself 2 life and deal a point of damage every single turn until they draw either the removal, which again is quite limited, or the 4K bodies, which in my own card pool that I opened, I think I opened a grand total of 3 cards that were 4K or higher. Or no, it was 2 actually. Sorry, the other one's a 3K that I'm thinking of. So I opened exactly 2 cards that were 4K, which I just lost to a double blocker in every single round that I played. I literally went 0-3 with my Bleach one because I opened 0 of the double blocker, I opened up 0 of the BP booster, and 2 raid cards that I couldn't use, unfortunately. But that said, definitely no raid, no problem, because something else to keep in mind is that there are just good cards to look out for. So Nobara is a great example of when you raid, you only get the ability that's in the box, but it does have an additional text on it, just like Renji in the Bleach format, where you can pay an action point and give it damage too. This is just a extremely strong card by itself. It's a 4K attacker. If we open it, it can threaten damage too when we really need it to. And again, being at 4K and only 4 energy means we get to play this early and quickly chip away at our opponent's life if they don't hit a special trigger. So this is something that if you open it, you are really excited for it. The other thing is some of these cards just don't require raid at all, right? We do have the Gojo here in the middle, which is really, really nice at a 5K body. I mean, this will then absolutely wall out anything your opponent is trying to do, but then it also has impact. And what that means is that as you're swinging and your opponent tries to block it, even if they block the attack, as long as Gojo wins, which being at 5K, he'll always swing over whatever it is, they still take 1 point of damage. So think about it like trample, piercing, things of that nature, right? So Gojo is really great at the top end for another example of just a key card that we want to try to open if we get lucky in our packs. And then lastly is Mahito, which again, yes, it would just be a 4K vanilla, but again, really want to stress that if you didn't hit any of the other pieces of Mahito, that is totally fine. Just playing this as a 4K attacker early on is going to be strong enough. So definitely keep in mind what raid cards you open and how many of the raid targets that you got with it, because ultimately you're probably not going to have more than one unless you like really high roll in your packs. So definitely think of these as more just, okay, they're vanilla big bodies that I can also play. And then sometimes in the case of Nobara, they can have additional effects, which again are really strong. I mean, that is a great card to open in a limited battle if you do. And then last but not least, just have fun with it. No matter what, everyone's going to get one of the full art Gojos, which is, I love this artwork, by the way, as well as the winner will be the winner of the event and get a special winner promo. And then the other thing is, hey, you can open up a serialized UG at these release events, right? It is in the packs randomly, so you could just high roll, right, in the best way possible and walk away with, paying for your JJ case and probably paying for a bit more after that if you get lucky enough to open up a certain number that people are looking for. So again, just want to do a quick high-level video talking about the format overall. Again, I do have some other videos up on the channel about just general deck building stuff, which will be linked in the description. But ultimately, I just wanted to try to get something out there for maybe people who are looking at Union Arena, who are waiting for JJK to jump in and, kind of didn't know where to start. So if you found this video helpful, definitely make sure to share with some friends and, help get some other people into Union Arena. Again, I probably won't do this for every single set because it does have a very similar, pattern to it, other than like, hey, here's the 2 or 3 cards that are different. But I figure with like JJK being a big enough a release, and then probably something like Full Metal Alchemist and Sword Art Online, just to name a couple other ones, I'll probably do another video like this. So if there's anything I missed as well, maybe you go to your release event and you say, hey, I really wish you would have mentioned X, Y, or Z. Definitely please come back and let me know in the comments below. I think I did a pretty good job, but obviously always looking to improve as well from a high level of, entry level info to help get people into Union Arena. So that, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the video. And of course, until next time, stay safe, stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.